So things have really been crazy around here, as usual. You would think that with all this limited activity stuff with COVID, that would be just a tiny bit less so. Yet somehow, I managed to keep my calendar packed to the brim. My husband always teases me that I could quit my job and still manage to never have a clear calendar. Well, anyway, as I submitted my last assignment for my 8-week semester, I realized I haven't really talked to you guys about my classes, which is kind of unusual. I mean, I don't think you would care much about my biology class, but global cultural intelligence has been pretty inspiring, and ministry to kids in crisis has been kind of heart-wrenching, so I would think it would have come up. Anyways, yay me! I am officially on fall break for a week. Then it's back to the grind. But for now, I get to think about all the stuff that I can get done with my week of freedom. Well, other than my job and stuff, like catching up with housework and laundry and bills, and Todd probably wouldn't mind me taking a turn cooking. Oh, and I'm supposed to be working on spending time with God in stillness. Which reminds me, so we started the Discerning the Voice of God Bible study last week, and even though this is my second time through it, it's really great. You can still come if you want, just saying. Well, anyway, it's great, well, except for the stillness part. Last week in this study, we touched on how prayer and stillness is essential and it really matters. Which I totally get the prayer part. It's undeniable. We need to spend time talking to God. But stillness? Yeah, that's not a thing I do well. I think up to this point when I was writing this, I had adjusted my laptop about 5 times. I'd stopped a shift, play with the dogs more than a few times, and I'm positive I pulled my ponytail more than once. So stillness is just not in my repertoire. So maybe he doesn't mean like sitting still, maybe sitting still. Maybe he means like just shushing up a little and listening. So, being me, I had to find out exactly how many verses talk about being still. I stopped at the top 100. Fine. Even though I can argue context on about a third of them, a couple of them really kind of pierced my soul. Tremble and do not sin. When you are on your beds, search your hearts and be silent. For God alone, O my soul, wait in silence, for my hope is with him. Fine, so I need to be still. Leave it to David to kill me with psalms. But let's talk about that. Imagine if as I was recording this, I just stopped talking, moving, really doing anything, but you and I sitting here in stillness. How long would it last? Would it take 2 seconds? 10? A minute? Before it felt awkward and pointless or boring? How quickly would one of us pick up our phones, start fidgeting, look for something to keep us busy, or hey, just scroll to the next video? Let's try it. I'm just kidding. I so won't do that to you. But I am going to try being still, and I'll let you know how long I can last without checking the time. So, be right back. Maybe. So shockingly, when I did this, I made it about 2 minutes. At first it felt really awkward, and I was very aware of how I was sitting, where my clothing were touching me, and I really wanted to fidget. Then I noticed my dog Bella's gentle snoring, my dog Pepper shifting from laying on her side to her back with all 4 paws in the air. Yes, that does have a very distinct sound. Todd moving and shifting, the sounds of Michaela's TV, then the silence in between. It was deafening. As I type this, I can still hear it ringing in my ears. And no, it's not tinnitus. What would that silence have been filled with if I had started with prayer? What if I had spent the time reading a passage of the Bible first? What am I not hearing because I'm too busy being busy? What would it have been like to share the silence? Is it more profound when shared? Or is it only when you're alone, straining to hear in the silence? that you realize all you're missing by never being still. I can kind of connect with that last Psalm of David now. For God alone, O my soul, wait in silence, for my hope is from him. I know that I don't have to be silent to hear God. He speaks loudly sometimes, so much so that it feels like a physical punch in the gut. But I have to say that my fidgety self is a little intrigued by this concept. I wonder what will happen if I sit for longer. I wonder what I will hear if I'm completely alone. Maybe even somewhere other than home, where you can't hear the dog drinking water. Let's try it this week. Try to spend time in silence. Tell me in the comments what it was like. What were your experiences? How long was it? Share your experience with me. Let's be still and hear how God speaks. You booger butt. I can hear you clicking and lapping through the whole thing. I don't know if I can keep it or not.